After what felt like a year of delay, Tesla has finally unveiled its Model Y Juniper, and it's a really nice update and looks super cool, but it includes a stalk. Yeah, a stalk. So let's take a look. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All coming to you from a somewhat snowy Friday afternoon in Georgia. Unfortunately, it was supposed to snow a lot more and it got very disappointing. I did an initial first drive with my Cybertruck, which you can see up here. It did very well in the snow. I wanted to test it versus there's a bunch of TikTok videos showing the truck struggling in snow, but it did super well for me, and I'm glad I tested it. I just threw my camera into the car and just started filming. I didn't really do it very organized, so the video is not fantastic, but I'm glad I captured it because then the temperatures went up and it actually started melting, so now we have hardly any snow left anymore. So anyway, that's what we've got on the Cybertruck. And speaking of the Cybertruck, one of the things about the Model Y Juniper that was just released, pictures of it and everything, looks like it's coming out in China and Asia in the spring, March, April. You'll start to be able to order it, and in the United States it'll probably be more like mid-year, so probably like May, June, April, May, June, sometime in that time you'll be able to order it, and you'll probably be able to take deliveries in the second half if you live in the United States or North America. So kind of a bummer that the model is out and we can't buy it yet, but it does look very cool. But one of the things you'll notice immediately is that there's some Cybertruck inspiration to it. Number one, it's much more angular around the front. It looks a lot less bulby than the current version. And number two, we can see a nice light bar here that's across the front that's very much like the Cybertruck's light bar. Of course, that light bar is not an actual usable light. Like, in other words, it doesn't illuminate the highway in front of you at night. That's these two side guys instead. Those are what actually illuminates things, just like in the Cybertruck. So very, very similar, but the vehicle is a really nice refresh. I've got 3 different sources. I will leave links to these in the description so you can check them out. This is electric.co. I've also got TechCrunch and, of course, Not a Tesla app, which shows some different views. Anyway, there's pictures, there's specs, there's all that good stuff. So let's take a quick look through this and see if this is a vehicle that you would want to purchase as an upgrade to either, not having a Tesla yet, or especially if you have a current version of the Tesla Model Y, is this going to be worth the upgrade? So first we'll start with the range, which is increased, although this is a little bit of a guess at this point. It sounds like they're trying to do some conversion between WLTP, which is like the Asian version of the EPA rating, but it tends to be much, much higher. But anyway, you can see here the current Model Y, the rear-wheel drive version gets 337 miles, the long-range version gets 320, and the performance version gets 311. In Juniper, these are all upgraded, but not ridiculously so. So you get 350 miles of range out of the rear-wheel drive version, 340 out of the all-wheel drive, and 330 out of the performance. So honestly, the performance is the one that has the best bump in terms of performance. So there you go. And speaking of that, under the hood, this vehicle is substantially redone, very much in line with the Model 3 Highland in terms of better suspension, better quiet ride, all of that kind of stuff. And of course, it comes with this beautiful new look. And again, I really do like that. I think it's a little more angular, just like the Model 3 Highland was more angular than the original. They've gone with a little bit more aggressive, a little more angular sort of look to the vehicle. And so as noted here in TechCrunch, Tesla has revealed the new look Model Y, but this is specifically for China and other Asia Pacific markets. And so of course that means we're going to have a delay. It will be introduced first in the Chinese and Asia Pacific markets, and then it will come to Europe and North America. Then of course we have their guess that it's going to come out in March in China and sometime around the end of Q2 in the United States and Europe. So there will be a delay between the two. So don't expect this vehicle in the garage if you live in the United States or Canada or something until like July or past that into 2025. So now let's turn to Not a Tesla app, which has the most detailed specs about the vehicle. Tesla has redesigned the front end of the vehicle with iconic new light bars, which they mention increase vehicle aerodynamics, efficiency, and range. That's interesting. I didn't know that was part of the thing. I thought it just looked cool. Part of this includes redesigned body castings for the Model Y refresh, reducing parts from 70 to 1. That is pretty remarkable. That means the entire underbody, I guess, is 1 gigacasting, so that's pretty impressive. As they mentioned, that's fewer gaps, all designed to make an even quieter ride than before. We're excited to see how all these improvements perform. After all, increasing stiffness is key to a better ride, which is very, very true. We had an original vintage, like 2020 Model Y, and when we got the new one that was the 2-piece casting, 1 front, 1 back, it was substantially stiffer and performed better than the old one. And it was just a couple of years, but it made a really big difference in the performance of the vehicle. Anyway, the front bumper camera is also visible, so that will be something new. So that will be like the Cybertruck. I really really like it in the Cybertruck, and I really miss it in the Model Y and Model 3 that we have. The fact that we don't have front bumper cameras when you're parking and doing low speed maneuvers, that is a big deal, and I'm very happy that they've included it in the new Model Y. For the rear, the light bar is actually not aimed away from the car, but at it. According to Tesla, it's the first indirect reflective body panel tail light, and it looks cool. Don't know exactly what that means, but that's cool. I guess it's internally reflected. Again, it kind of looks like a Cylon if you're of the right age, the old Cylons from Battlestar Galactica that had the red bar across them. Tesla has also redesigned several curves on the car. It looks far more aerodynamic and cuts a sharp figure over the original Model Y. These changes will improve range and performance, and also note that it says Tesla here across the back in the actual light bar. They've also introduced this glacier blue, which I think is quite an exquisite looking color and looks very, very good in the wintertime. So right now would be the perfect time to have it. Next up, for the interior, we get ventilated seats finally, so we'll get cooled seats. That is a big one for me. And again, one of the reasons I prefer driving the Cybertruck over the Model Y or Model 3 that we have is that we have ventilated seats. And at this time of year, it doesn't matter as much, but in the summertime, I tend to sweat a lot on my back and on my legs when I'm in the vehicle. And so having those ventilated seats is great. And of course, Juniper, as expected, gets the red bar, the colored bars across here, the LED bars. You can change the colors, but I think it comes with red as the default. But anyway, change it to your heart's content. But it really does add a nice accent to the interior of the vehicle. It's surprisingly nice. I didn't think it would be a big deal before I purchased the Cybertruck, but after we did, I was like, oh yeah, I really, really like this, and I miss it in the other vehicles. We're also going to get a new 8-inch rear touchscreen, so that is a really big deal. We also get a chipset improvement for better connectivity to the vehicle, so that'll be really cool as well. And then we get power reclining seats for the back of the vehicle as well. Currently, the Model Y allows you to recline your back seats, but you have to do it manually, and I guess they're going to add automated for that as well. That seems like an unnecessary feature, but again, it's a luxury car, so why not do something cool for the folks and make them feel like they're getting a luxury experience. And then in quite the surprise move, they have actually introduced a single turn stalk back into the vehicle. This is obviously right-handed drive vehicle for some of the Asia Pacific markets, but you can clearly see here that there is a turning stalk that did not exist in the other vehicles, the Cybertruck, the Model 3 Highland, etc. Apparently they listened to their customers. I actually don't want a stalk anymore. I've gotten used to it in the Cybertruck, and my muscle memory is now trained for the Cybertruck, and I would much rather have thumb activation instead of the stalk. So I think that that's an unfortunate design compromise, because I actually really like the design without the stalks at all. I think it's much, much cleaner looking. But we also have to remember this is a very, very popular mass market vehicle, and so they need to market to the most people possible. Cybertruck is a very different thing. It's a niche market. It's for people who are already very Tesla-centric and are willing to go the extra mile to learn how to deal without a stalk. But I think this vehicle, obviously Tesla thought that it was going to be mass market enough that they had to put the turning stalk in. I think that's rather unfortunate. So let's take a look at a blow up of this. You can see the stalk a little bit better here. Again, it's just kind of this appendage that sticks out now that's unfortunate. What you can't see over here so much anymore is on the left side, there are now two adjustable buttons. They're customizable. And basically, I assume that you'll be able to set the turning, left and right to be the bottom and the top buttons respectively. So you'll be able to effectively ignore the stalk if you want to and use the buttons because they'll be customizable. But, you still have this ugly thing that's sticking out there instead of being gone. So it's rather unfortunate that that's there. And maybe it's one of those things like with the Cybertruck, the rear view mirror, there's like a very simple way of popping it out and removing it so you don't have to have it there because it's useless. Because, with the whole truck bed and everything like that, you can't see out of it anyway. So why do you have it? It'd be really cool if this was easily removable. But again, for safety purposes, that probably is not something they're going to want to do because you don't want it popping off in somebody's hands when they don't expect it. So I have a feeling that we're just stuck with it. It's a little unfortunate that that's the case. I think it's a big design flaw. I personally think minimalism, if you're going for minimalism, get rid of it and just go for it. But Tesla has obviously decided for this, at least, that they are going to include the stalk, and there it is. And just to show a closer up view here, I believe that these two buttons are supposed to be customizable now. So you can see they're in the exact same place as the Cybertruck or the Model 3, where you can just push the top button to turn right and the bottom button to turn left. So it appears you'll be able to use this just like the Cybertruck, but it's got that stalk that's just a vestigial thing that'll be hanging out with the vehicle. As for handling, as they say, Tesla has worked some magic on the suspension, improving vehicle handling and comfort while also offering more responsive steering and an even quieter ride. This includes updated tires, wheels, and a new suspension. So that should make it feel really, really good. Should be nice and quiet. The Model 3 is distinctly quieter. The Highland is distinctly quieter than the Model Y is and the old Model 3 was. So that should be really cool. And then the stiffer the suspension, the better the ride is going to feel in terms of really having a solid connection with the road. And as for speed, this is the best we've got at this point. We're going from the all-wheel drive, which is the version that we have, is 5 seconds 0 to 60. It's down to 4.3 seconds in the new one, but we purchased the speed boost, so we're already at 4.3 seconds. So basically, we're already at what Juniper does. Now, maybe they'll have a purchasable speed boost as well and drop it down into the 3-point-something second range. But at this point, that's not that big of an improvement. A bigger improvement is the rear-wheel drive. You actually get 2 seconds off the rear-wheel drive, from 8 seconds 0 to 60 to 6 seconds 0 to 60. So that is a really big deal. So I think if you're looking to purchase the rear-wheel drive vehicle, that's going to feel a lot faster. And then before we end off with looking at a few pictures, let's take a look at this wireless charging contacts. I did not know this was in the Cybertruck, but apparently the Cybertruck shipped with a set of internal connectors to prepare it for a future retrofit for Tesla's wireless charger. That would be something that would contact the vehicle instead of plugging into the vehicle. And we're hoping to see this in the Model Y Juniper as well. That's just a rumor, of course, or a hope. It's not anything definite. But as Not a Tesla app says, after all, why not future-proof newer vehicles for robo-taxi capabilities like wireless charging if the Cybertruck already has support? So I agree with that. Likely that will happen, but we don't know any of that at this point. That's just speculation. So now let's finish off with looking at a few pictures. You can see the front here. Again, very nice, very angular. I love the light bar across the front. Really nice redesign. Franz and his team have obviously been working hard to make this thing look beautiful. The side view also a little more aggressive looking, less bubbly, less rounded, more of a aggressive shape into the wind, but still with the basic Model Y, it still looks like a Model Y, and also clearly has something to do with the Model 3 as well, the Highland refresh. Also, we get a free little kind of mini spoiler here in the back, so that's really cool looking. The rear view is more similar, I think, to the older version of the Model Y than the front view is, but definitely still a more aggressive sort of stance. Then we have sort of a driving view from an angle from the back, which again shows off that spoiler. It's really aggressive from that angle. You can see the spoiler sticking out. I think this is the glacier blue color, which is not quite as blue under this lighting, but it looks really beautiful. It might also be gray. It's hard to tell with the lighting. But anyway, that looks really attractive from this angle. It's very interesting they've chosen to shoot from the rear of the vehicle more than the front, at least in the pictures that I've found. I think they think the back looks really cool, and so they want to show that off. Notice it's more flat across the back of the hatchback part, a little bit less rounded. So a distinct upgrade in terms of things. And then the interior we've already seen, but down in the corner you can see that rear screen, so that's going to be great for the kids. The Cybertruck is wonderful. It's got Bluetooth connection as well as a plug-in connection for headphones, so the kids can just plug in their Bluetooth headphones and they can watch whatever they want to on the screen. Pretty awesome. And here we have just a random, not, like a beauty shot, but just a random shot of the vehicle working in the snow. And that looks really attractive there as well. And, in the wild, if you will. All right, thanks so much for watching. If you don't mind, please do like the video so other people can find it. And again, for my birthday present, for my 60th birthday on January 29th, I would love it if you could subscribe to the channel. I'd love to get to 100,000 subscribers by my birthday. That would be amazing. And you can help me out just by clicking a button. And in the meantime, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.